Welcome back to the channel, you curd nerds. We've got another mock check ride for you today. Now, this student actually did something that I've never seen another student do up to this point doing these mock check rides. They actually built their own training aircraft. Now, they already went and did their private pilot in this training aircraft. It's an RV-14, by the way, for those of you wondering. But they are now on their instrument training, and they actually installed the panel themselves. So they had a solid understanding of pretty much all of the equipment that was in their airplane. They understood how their airplane functioned really well. There was some stuff that I said, hey, let's brush up on this. Maybe we should focus on this a little bit more. Maybe we should go read these materials. But that's how most of these mock check rides go. Not everybody's gonna come out of these perfect. Most people don't come out of these mock check rides perfect because most people who book a mock check ride recognize that they still have something to learn, and that's why they book them. So we did get a little sidetracked. I mean, the guy did build an airplane. I kind of wanted to talk about that. I mean, it's kind of fun. So I'll try to put some little chapters down at the bottom if you wanna skip over the little sidetracked sections. But student did pretty well. Told them they had to study a couple more things before they were ready to go. And let me know what you guys think. If you want to book a mock check ride, you know where to click. And make sure, if you do enjoy this educational aviation content, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. YouTube has this new little thing called hype points, right? The hype points really just, it's meant for smaller creators to really show like, hey, look, this is quality content. So if you got those hype points, spend those hype points down below. But without further ado, let's roll the mock check ride.
All right, well, awesome. I did just hit those record buttons. So I just want to ask again before we kind of move any farther. Are you okay with us recording these mock check ride training event, whatever you want to call it, for content creation, whether it be on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, etc. Let me just make sure that you're actually
okay with that.
Awesome. So doing an instrument check ride in a RV, it was RV-7, correct? Or is this an RV-14?
Yeah, 14.
It's a 14. Okay. So an RV-14, that's the small one, isn't it?
No, that's the larger one. It's just like a 7, side by side, 2-seater. So they're all 2-seaters except for the RV-10. But
Okay.
it's the larger version of the RV-7, because I'm like 6 feet, and like when I sit down like on a 7, because the guy who helped me build it, he had built a 7, so I could barely, like, I felt like I had to do this the whole time because I was gonna scratch the canopy, even though it's just like unnerving. So just a little bit of room makes a world of difference. So
That definitely makes sense. I mean, how long did it take you to build it? Because I know, like, what they estimate 2,000 hours or something like that.
yeah, it took me at least 3,000 hours, I'd say. But I ordered the kit like in May of 2020 when we all went to like that weird world, and so I had a lot of extra time, and it interrupted my training, and then I stopped flying pretty much. I didn't fly. I think over those 3 years I flew like 25 hours total. So
Dang.
because I basically didn't have any money, because it starts off pretty cheap. You start off with like a $4,000 kit, and then the next kit's like 12,000, and then it's like all of a sudden the engine's like 50,000, and you're like, wait a second. But I'm
No.
committed now, so I'm borrowing money from every source I can. Like, stop flying. That's an easy way to save money, is stop flying.
Yeah, you know how to make you know how to get to $1 million in aviation, right?
Yeah.
Start with 2.
Yep.
But I mean, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. Not many people could say that they built their airplane. Believe me, if I had the money for it, I'd do it. If I had the free time too. How'd the build go? I mean, because the RVs, they're more complicated. You know, you look at the Zeniths, they're built with Cherry Max rivets the entire way around, but the RVs, it's solid rivets, isn't it?
It's mostly solid rivets, but there are some pop rivets. I'd say 99% solid rivets, but it's pretty easy. Honestly, I think it's easier because the pop rivets I didn't have a pneumatic squeezer, so it actually takes longer for me to do a pop rivet than a solid rivet, because once you start going, it's just like really fast. So, but it's like 15,000 rivets, so it takes a long time.
15,000 rivets. Yeah, there's somebody at my airline. They're building I think they're building a 7 as well, or something like that. I forget what they're building. But yeah, they were kind of in the same boat. They at Oshkosh, they bought the $4,000 tail kit, and then they're like, "Well, shit, now I'm committed."
Yeah, well, I mean, that's what it's nice that they do that because only $4,000. I mean, that's not that much. I mean, compared to most people abandon after the tail kit, and then if they get sometimes they get real ambitious and they buy all their kits, and then they start and they're like, I can't do it anymore. And then all of a sudden you'll find online like on Barnstormers a whole kit with the engine, sometimes even avionics, and you're just like, dude, maybe
It's like you're almost there.
it's because lead times could be, especially during COVID, like lead times for engines were like 2 years. For Thunderbolts, it was even longer. So it's like people are just like, I gotta order it now because otherwise I'll be waiting for. But you're never gonna be waiting. I've got kits. We're building another one right now, and so I've got kits already, and we have an engine already. So it's like you really don't have to be in a rush because it'll take you longer than you think. If you do, or
Yeah,
if you rush, you're gonna end up making mistakes and costing yourself money. So
yeah. And I mean, you see the people online, like even Wearworthy. I don't know if you saw him. One second. On Instagram, like no plug or anything, but he built a Zenith, which is one of the easiest planes to build. From what I've heard, like I've never built one, but like a Zenith is one of the easiest ones to build.
Yeah.
And it still took him 2.5 years, and it was effectively his full-time thing.
Yeah.
Was building that damn airplane.
Yeah, there's I think it's not the guy that he painted it to himself, and so it depends on what you want to do.
No,
Is it not that?
he didn't paint it himself. He took it to Artcraft.
Oh, okay. There's a guy who
Yeah,
built the Zenith, and he painted it, and he like did a lot. And also when they're recording and they're making content, that's just like a lot. I did Instagram, and I did record a few videos like on like systems and things that I was gonna need to remember. So especially when I started installing the Garmin stuff, and like there's some decisions that you had to make that aren't in the plan. So once I figured all that out through the forums and through the communities, I started making some of those posts on there. So, but I could tell you, you're a content creator, so like it's a lot of extra work to add to do that. So people who are trying to document and film and create content, because it is cool, there is a niche for it. That's just more work you're adding to your daily life. So it's just going to cut into your overall time.
Yeah, believe me. And that's why you don't see like all of my content of me working on my airplane is garbage because I'll end up elbow deep in grease going like, you know what? Fuck the camera. Like, I don't even want to record this anymore. I don't even want to make content anymore.
Yeah, no, I'll still do a time lapse. I'll set up a time lapse on my phone and just, I'm about to do a whole bunch of riveting for like a long time, but I'm going to make it 30 seconds for the person who's going to watch it. So it's kind of cool.
No, you should post it in real time.
Yeah, no, most people do a time lapse. They just set up a camera, set it, forget it, and then it's not even a lot of editing. Sometimes they voice over after, and they can kind of review what they're doing, and that's not so hard, but still more time, Once you start creating good content, like you have all these animations, and once you start editing, you've now set a bar that you have to maintain. So it's like you can't just throw up garbage on your channel.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. Every once in a while, I'll still throw up some garbage. You got to keep people on their toes. So like, wait a minute, is this actually cheese ball? But that's why Dirtbag Pilot did it perfectly. Like he embraced the dirtbagness of his content creation of the pilot and all that other jazz. So like nobody's ever expecting high quality; they're just expecting a good bit of humor, and he definitely fell into a perfect niche that makes it yeah. But let's move on to this, right? Every check ride, there's 3 possible outcomes: satisfactory, unsatisfactory, incomplete. Satisfactory just means you're consistently inside the standards. Doesn't necessarily mean you don't momentarily fall outside the standards. If you fall outside the standards, you apply a prompt and appropriate correction to get yourself back within the standards. Then there's incomplete, right? Incomplete is really just like airplane's not airworthy and you found it during like pre-flight weather that you decided as like a no-go situation, illness, stuff like that. The example I use for aircraft airworthiness is there was a student, he went to go take his instrument check ride. And before they got into the airplane, the maintenance individuals put in new SD cards into the airplane to update the avionics. Well, the student in the DPE got into the airplane, started everything up. The airplane started its automated update process like it does when you put new SD cards in your avionics. And it said update in progress on the screen. The student got all the way to the runway, power application ready for takeoff, and the DPE finally stopped him because it was still displaying update in progress.
Yeah.
He was hoping that the student would be like, we can't. But, so remember, if the airplane's not airworthy.
Yeah. Well, that's another issue for me because I'm the mechanic too. So I've got to make it airworthy. We actually just had our oil probe go out. And I flew over to Corona and then got a new one, and I'm like, this is actually required equipment, period. Like it's not even airworthy for VFR now. So it's like we got to fix this. Luckily, they have it in stock, so we already put it in, but now I've got to go test it. But it's like, and I've got to sign. I've got to do all of that also. So normally, a mechanic would make sure it's airworthy. You bring the books to the DPE, but I have to do that.
Well, I mean, there is some benefit to like being the person that built it, and you can do your own maintenance. Believe me, like I'm not an AMP, but my AMP, I work with my AMP. Pretty much, he watches me and makes sure I don't break anything. But it's frustrating because I've built race cars before, but it's like the FAA is like, you can't work on your airplane.
Well, with the new Mosaic, you can take that class, and you should. I don't know how it'll work with your already certified aircraft, though. I don't actually know what's going to happen. I don't know.
Here's the thing: there's a lot of people that are confused on that, and I've seen some people doing some stuff that they should not be doing. And we've had some conversations, and
there's going to be a lot of people
to do what they're doing.
Just stepping outside the line, I'm sure.
Because here's the thing: I've read through it. I've even I've read through it. I've talked to a bunch of people that have also read through it.
Mm-hmm.
Mosaic is not changing what you can do to a certified airplane. It is not making certified airplanes LSAs. It is saying that somebody with sport privileges can fly certified airplanes that meet the same restrictions as new LSAs have.
Yeah, there's definitely something in the maintenance side though for like experimental builds, because I know that like one of the big reasons I built it is like I wanted to be able to do my own maintenance and my own annuals, monthly ADs, etc. But although there aren't any ADs for experimental, they're all service bulletins. But as now, if I sold my plane to you, it's still an experimental build. You could get that class, and then you could do normally it would just be the builder. So unless you're so that is definitely helping for the experimental world, which there's a ton of great aircraft in the experimental world. So certified is a whole nother ball. Even when I bought the stuff, like I bought all Garmin, it was like half the price.
Half price.
Yeah, half the price for the exact same stuff. So for no reason other than it wasn't certified.
Believe me, when I was looking at, because I put G5s and a G175 in my airplane, and just to piss myself off, I looked at the comparison between prices.
Yeah.
Like, that's the only thing I did, because like, there's no point in me looking at the experimental prices. So just to piss myself off, I was like, oh, I spent $13,000 on these certified avionics. I wonder what it would be in an experimental. Oh, 6. That's frustrating. That's the fuck.
And I still managed to spend $50,000 on my avionics, even at half price. So I got pretty nice avionics. I'm not gonna lie. It's
I saw the picture.
Yeah.
Here, let me. I'm gonna bring it up real quick. So this is your avionics package, correct?
Yep.
That is bougie. That is bougie. What is that? It's a Garmin. What's that navigator down there?
Is that a 650 XI?
Okay.
So, and then it's G3X Touch, which have their own GPS. So I actually have 2 GPSs. They're VFR only though. So my IFR navigator is the GTN 650, and then I've got the G5 like you're used to, and then the autopilot and the audio panel. I got circuit breakers on there because that's what I know, and and the rocker switch.
Oh yeah, because you could have put in that the digital circuit breaker system, couldn't you?
A lot of people do. They do the vertical power, especially if they're doing full EFII, like if they're doing a full. See, I have PMAG, so I'm like still using. I'm using kind of a hybrid in between. I don't know if you're familiar with PMAGs, but my ignition system is injected, fuel injected, but I've got magnetos that will advance and retard the timing based on the RPM, but it still generates its own spark. So it's not considered full fuel, not full EFII like the Sureflies and.
Is there a certified version of those?
I don't think I'm not sure about PMAGs being certified. It's funny because I don't know much about certified
Yeah.
aircraft now. Like,
Yeah.
I kind of stepped into the other world, and now I haven't flown anything but an RV for 5 years. So
Oh,
yeah,
dang.
I haven't.
No, I
I
mean,
actually, that's not true. I did fly in a Cessna 150. I had a friend who was there. I was like, hey, let's go out and fly in a high wing, and I was like, what the heck? I can't see. I was like, always wanted to go in it, and I'm like, how come there's a wing there? Like, it's so weird. Like, I am completely a low wing guy. Now that I've been in a Cessna, and we did a few flights in it, and it was cool to be able to look down. But honestly, in my plane, I can see down just fine. So I
yeah.
honestly feel like the Cessnas restrict your vision more than the low wings do. So that's just me.
Yeah. No, and I mean, I feel you there because like I have a mid wing and the wing is behind me too,
Mhm.
so I have no issue with seeing down, seeing up, seeing down. And I
Yeah.
went and flew with Dirtbag in his 150, and I'm like, what is going on up there? Like, what
Yeah.
is? Or you go fly a Cherokee and you're like, I got no idea what's beneath me.
Yeah, you're
How do
not.
you know when to
I
land?
know. Yeah, you got that's the same thing because we got that big bubble canopy and we're kind of sitting on the spar and we're kind of near. I can easily look down and see the ground. I mean, from the sky. So yeah, I think being forward and being, you know, the
Yeah, I
bubble
don't know.
canopy also has no shade, so like you can't
Yeah.
escape the sun. That's another thing I learned.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, there's no you can't open the windows in yours either
No,
because
you
like
can,
you
but
got little vents.
yeah, I mean you could. Yeah.
I, I I feel like the manufacturer, vans would see that incident and they'd be like, "Why? What the? All right." Either way,
There is actually a
so
canopy release jettison handle on the on the dash you can pull, and it takes it off. For it's aerobatics, so if you were doing aerobatics and you messed up really bad, you jump out with your parachutes and the plane is gone.
well, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
and I'm assuming your insurance wouldn't. How is it to insure an experimental? Because I've heard that was a lot of the issues. Because before I
Yeah.
bought my airplane, I went and I test flew a GP3, which is an experimental cloth wood
Yeah.
structured seaplane. I wanted experimental to begin with, but I had 3 engine failures and all of them were in experimental airplanes. So I'm like, you know what? Maybe this isn't the play.
It's not bad. Mine's a tricycle gear, so I don't have a tail dragger. If you have a tail dragger, it's more obviously, but I pay like we you also get to set your own whole insurance. So I put it at 200,000 and I have a partner and we both have enough hours where it's only like 1,800 a year. So
Oh, I mean, that's not bad at all, especially with that hull value. I pay 30. Well, now that I have instruction insurance, I pay $4,500 a year for 80 grand hull
yeah,
coverage.
yeah, we probably should
But
raise it, but I mean, for me, I'm like, you can actually set it whatever you want. I'm like, if you give me 200,000, I can build and at least get started. Another one.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So
Well, that's nice. And I mean, maybe I'll have to. Well, I don't make very many good like experimental seaplanes. The only experimental seaplane that's like any decent, that was actually the one I was looking at before we hopped on here, was the Seawind.
yeah,
But from what I've read on the Seawinds is their rudder starts to lose effectiveness around 75, and they land at 70. So kind of gives you a couple issues. You got 5 knots of says they're open to trades with an RV.
there you go.
Oh, a Class A RV, not like a
An actual RV.
not
That's what everyone always
yeah.
says. Like I say RV, they're like, "What? You're gonna drive there?" I'm like, "No, but it's actually it's a plane."
But I mean, they want 260,000 for it. What am I kidding? I don't have 260,000. So let's get into this instrument
All right.
mock check ride before we get too much more off topic. So why are we getting an instrument rating? What's the whole point of an instrument rating? What privileges are we getting by the time of we get our instrument rating?
Well, me personally, I want to be able to fly into the coast, which is generally in weather. So IMC is probably the biggest. Also, we get the marine layer here, so I can't get out of my airport. So I want to just be able to pop out. I don't have any like intentions of flying into severe weather, but my main reason is to be able to fly in instrument conditions. So the other ability is to go into Class A, airspace, which my plane can do. I even have oxygen on it, so I mean technically I could. Also, I like filing IFR, so to be able to file IFR, you have to have a rating to do it. And then, I mean, if I were to become if I were to become commercial and keep going. I'm not planning on it, but that's also a requirement. And then there's also the special VFR at night requirement for it, which I hardly would ever use. So, but
Yeah.
I would just file IFR. So.
Yeah, exactly. Like, sure, you can file special IFR, or you can get a special VFR at night, but again, like, what's the point? Just
Yeah.
file a damn IFR flight plan.
We did.
Awesome.
We did
So-
have one where it was like we were at bracket and it was actually IFR, but actually we could see fine, so we just got a special VFR to get out of there. Just we didn't have to deal with the routing. But that was the only time I ever did it. So but that wasn't at
Yeah.
night, so we wouldn't have had to be do it IFR anyway.
I can't think of any reason why you would want to get unless your airplane maybe like wasn't capable of IFR.
Yeah, I know.
But
Yeah.
I don't know if I'd have to dig into the regs to see if it requires the aircraft to be capable of IFR along with the pilot being capable of IFR. So don't quote me on that. So let's say for some reason, I don't know, you get your IFR rating today and something happens with the airplane. You throw a rod, heaven forbid. So then you know, it takes you 6-7 months to save up to, you know, get a new case-aft and crankshaft and everything else that, you know, is required after throwing a rod. So what do you need to do to go back up in IFR conditions? Or after 7 months, can you just say, screw it, let's go?
No, in 7 months, assuming I didn't fly anywhere else during that time, if I was just grounded myself, then I would have to become proficient again. I'm sorry, recent or current again by doing 6 procedures, holds, tracking with a safety pilot at that time. I would have to use
All right, now
yeah, I would have to do an
go ahead.
IPC. I wouldn't have to do an IPC until 12 months, so I'd still be able to just use a safety pilot, and not just anyone who's rated in that airplane. It could be PIC in that airplane.
Awesome. So, with your, yeah. Now, what's their minimum requirement? So you said they have to be PIC in that airplane. Can a sport pilot be a safety pilot?
Not in my airplane. No, they have to be. Actually, I think I saw one where the guy missed this one. I believe they have to be able to act as PIC in the plane. So in my plane they would have to hold the private pilots. But I don't remember the answer, but
So
I do
the
think it's
FAA specifically says they need to be at the minimum of a sport pilot.
Okay.
Or
So,
correction, minimum of a private pilot. Minimum of a private
okay,
pilot.
good. Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah, because there's other than just sport. There's recreational pilot,
Mhm.
you know, there's
Yeah.
drone pilot, I guess.
Yeah, I don't really know any sport pilots, to be honest, but I mean
I know one,
yeah, because
and I
sport
wouldn't go
airplanes
flying
can't
with him.
be IFR, right? There's no sport planes allowed to file IFR, so
No. And if I'm going to be honest, the one sport pilot I know, I probably wouldn't fly with him at all. Like, no shame on, you know, sport pilots, right? It's still, you know, the training requirement is less, but let's be honest, like they're still taking the 40 to 50 hours that most people take. So awesome. We understand, you know, what our privileges and limitations are when it comes to being or getting or having our instrument rating. God. But just because let's talk about. This feels kind of stupid, given that you're the one that installed these damn things. I hope you know how they work. So
Yeah.
if you got into your airplane and for some reason or another, you started seeing red X's pop over your airspeed indicator and your altimeter, your outside air temperature, your vertical speed indicator. You had red X's covering those instruments. What computer, what brain might you think has failed?
well, if I have red X's around all of those things, it's probably my GTN 650 because I don't really get those red X's cleared until I turn on my Avionics master. So, that's like if I just turn on my battery and my master, the G3X's will come up, but all the other stuff that you just mentioned will go through my GTN 650. I will definitely have a heart attack first of all because it's the most expensive part, but then the second part is I look at the power supply and see am I getting power to the GTN 650. So I look at the 650 to see if it's on, and there's probably a connection. There is actually one big feed cable that comes from the GTN 650 to the data computer, so I could hope it's there. I actually used a company to do mine, so I would call Aerotronics and get them to help me figure out what I did wrong and troubleshoot. They're really great about like supporting me even 2 years later when something goes wrong. But to answer your question, I think it's the GTN 650 which controls all of those red X's.
Okay. They're not, but I see where the confusion might have come from, because I'm just looking at your circuit breaker panel.
Okay.
Not that button. That button. We see it right here. AD AHAR. Yeah, ADA HARs.
Yeah.
So this is in opposition. So the G3X touches are a little different than the G1000. The G1000 separates these two boxes onto two different circuit breakers. So you have your AHARs, your attitude heading and reference system, and then you have your ADC, or your air data computer. Looks like on yours it's a singular box, right? So if you were to lose your air data computer, since it's part of your since your air data computer and your attitude heading and reference system share a circuit breaker, they're probably the same box, meaning you wouldn't just lose your altimeter, your airspeed and whatnot. You would most likely just get a red X's over everything, because if they're one and the same.
Yeah.
So this GTN 650, really, this thing is just GPS. Okay, so if we were to like flip this panel over, what you're going to see is probably a pitot-static box, whether it be into the Garmin.
Yep.
But you're going to see a box where all your pitot-static lines go into, and it's going to be a twisted pair CAN line that goes from the 650 and to both of your both of these. While the Garmin G5 is going to have its own pitot-static lines because it's the backup.
That's correct.
Right?
Yeah. No, you're right. That's it. I missed that part. I mean, I had the right the plug that I was talking about from the GTN 650 into the air data computer was the right spot. Just I was thinking of the wrong brain. You're right. The GTN is just the brain of GPS for the navigation.
All right. Awesome. So
but the avionics
just
master is in that. Like when you showed the panel, that is where the avionics master. So yeah, I put it. Hopefully, I would have seen a circuit breaker pop, which is another reason I like that. But
yeah, and to be honest, I've never seen an airplane with something else sure, I know where worthy in his Zenith he's got the digital circuit breaker box and it like goes through the GTNs or the not the GTNs but the G3X touches, but I've never seen it in person, and I bet I probably could in like Microsoft Flight Sim or something, but it's not. I can't afford it. So why am I gonna dig into it?
Yeah. Honestly, it's like when I did my avionics, I put that stuff in, and it's like I said, it has a big plug, but there's so many other parts in behind there. It's like I do know the static lines, and we teed it off for the G5, so pitot-static has its own. The G5 has its own feed for the pitot-static, but so those things I did myself, but all the other stuff I just plugged them in, basically.
Yeah.
Our job is to wire to the panel, and then we just plug it to the panel.
Yeah, and that's a really nice. Yeah, it's a really nice way of doing it. Believe me, I wish there was an option for my airplane for it, because it's not fun.
Yeah, it's a lot.
But what I've seen,
it's a lot.
And they do a beautiful harness too, don't they? Like it's all tucked in, like nothing's gonna move. It's all
laced and everything.
It's oh yeah, and I bet if like you peel it back a little bit, I bet it's freaking labeled.
Every failure I had was the connection I made. So every time I found a failure, like when I was testing it, all the ones that I did. So everything. So
let me guess, all the coax lines.
Well, I did the coax lines. Those actually didn't fail, but mostly it was like connections where you have to connect it to the wing root, and then you have to, and also firewall forward. I had to do those connections, all the sensors. Pretty much I had a problem with every sensor, even though I was doing it with butt slices. So we ended up soldering the joints, and I learned a lot about making joints, but still, those guys are pros, so they definitely don't.
Well, yeah, and they're also doing it in like a controlled environment. They have and they probably build like one of these a week.
Yeah, they're artists too. I mean, that's just beautiful. Like the way that they, like you said, it's all tight, laced, perfect. Just looks like it's like art.
Yeah, looks like they knew what they were doing.
They did. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm embarrassed. I hope no one ever looks behind my panel.
Yeah. So one thing I honestly don't know how all these these parts that I had to buy, because another thing, you just tell them what you want, like, and then
Mhm.
they just build it for you. So if you look at all the parts I built, besides the GTS 650, the G3X, and the G5, and the stuff we use, there's a whole bunch of other stuff behind there, like the GAD, the GAD, the GSU, like there's all sorts of other things that you don't see
Yeah, and
in.
we're not really concerned about that. What I'm more concerned is, can you tell the difference between a pedostatic blockage and a computer failure?
Yeah, that's true.
Right? So if you recognize that if we start seeing red X's, it's got nothing to do with your pedostatic system. Right?
That's true.
A lot of students do make that mistake, is that, oh, red X's, then it must not be getting good data. My pedo tube must be plugged.
Yeah.
So then they start trying to diagnose, like turning on pedo heat and stuff like that, when it's never going to fix the problem.
Right. Okay.
All right. So that's more of the concern, right? Now, let's say we're flying along, fat, dumb, and happy, and we take off from an airport where the altimeter setting was 2982. Correction, 3012. And we're flying along, we go about 200 miles, and we're a lazy piece of crap pilot, and we don't actually ever update our altimeter setting. And the altimeter setting at our new airport, the airport where we're landing at, is 2982. But I never reset it. I didn't even bother to get the ATIS. It was like, my GPS will take care of it. I should be fine. What's the risk associated with not resetting my altimeter setting when I'm going from an area of high pressure to low pressure?
I mean, you'll have inaccurate reading. Your airplane will think it's higher than it is, or the instruments will, and so they'll read a elevation that's actually higher than you actually are. So you're not going to have the same AGL that you expect.
Okay, so what's my risk? Let's say I'm trying to do an LPV.
So obstacles, obviously, your biggest risk is hitting stuff, because if you're at the wrong altitude, you're below because you think you're at the right altitude, and you're not getting the same safety from towers, lines, trees, stuff, rocks. So mostly
So
it's
with this
yeah.
So with this large separation, we're going from 3012 to 2982.
Mhm.
What might happen once I reach minimums? Or will I ever get to minimums? Saying I'm doing an LPV, most LPVs are going to take you down to around 200 AGL.
Yeah, so at that, you could be off by, I don't know the actual math on how much of it, 100 feet, you could be off. If that much of a drop in pressure altimeter setting could be about 100 feet. So you could end up, you won't have, if you were to dip down and you had that error, you would definitely be unsafe in terms of hitting power lines, trees, fences, a tower. Like that girl that went into those steam things that she was flying, and it just was a little low, but maybe she had a wrong altimeter setting. You hit those steam stacks, and
Yeah.
that's what.
So I mean, there's that. And so what I'm really getting to is, like, can you actually discern the math associated with it? So it's going to be about 10 feet for every 0.01.
Okay. Yeah.
All right. So we went 0.4 was or 0.3. So we're 300 feet low.
Oh, I didn't know it was that far. I thought, okay, yeah.
Yeah. So that's really what we're looking for, right? We're going to be,
Yeah, I was
we're going
thinking about
to,
100 feet per point, so I didn't pay.
yeah.
I didn't think we went that far down, but that's a huge. I've had pressure settings go, but not that far. But I get.
Yeah. And I mean, it's, if we're going that far, it's probably we're crossing more than 200 miles.
Yeah,
but
and sometimes ATC will tell you the altimeter, meaning you're probably not at your right altitude, and so I'm like, oh, what's the altimeter? So they tell me the altimeter. That's how I kind of noticed it, because when I just adjust it like a little bit, my altitude doesn't change very much. So it's good to do. But if you went from
3012 to 2982,
yeah,
there's a pretty big difference, right?
yeah, that's a lot.
Awesome. So let's get into your airplane. I'm looking at it. I see comm radios. There's no. Well, I do see VLOC. Is there ground-based navigation in this as well?
There's one VOR antenna in the wing, so I have I could do ILS and VORs. I have one. I have one VOR, and then
Okay. Well, I mean,
yeah. You don't have to
so
have it,
how does
but
it?
I do have it. Yeah.
Yeah, you don't. I mean, you don't. You technically don't have to have any. The only navigation equipment required
Mhm.
in an airplane for IFR is the equipment that's required for the flight that you intend on doing.
It's something I considered because everything is seeming GPS, but it's not technically a precision approach, but it's pretty precise. So, and everywhere seems to have a GPS approach, and not everywhere has an ILS approach. But in the end, it's kind of a lot more work to add ILS. If you're just going to go GPS, it kind of makes it a lot easier to build it. But even with just the antenna, but having that completely secondary system just in case I'm in the soup and something fails and I'm completely in trouble. So like that's pretty much the reason. So
Yeah. All right. Well, how does that VOR function?
the actual VOR from my
Yeah. Well,
so it
how do VORs work? Like, what's the big idea behind a VOR? Like, what makes it different than, let's say, an ADF?
I don't know about an ADF, but I do know how VORs work, and they basically are going to basically my VOR my plane can sense the signal from the VOR, which is I think sending out the timing clock, but basically it could tell which direction it is from the VOR. So I could basically use my VOR signal to go to a VOR. I don't know how far it is, but I know where it is, and then I can track that towards the VOR, and I can definitely tell when I'm getting close to it because it starts to act all crazy because I'm hitting the cone of confusion. So um, I didn't know if you wanted an exact explanation about how VORs work exactly, but I don't know exactly, but I do know generally how they work.
Okay, well, what's some of the limits associated with a VOR? Like, we brought up one,
Yeah,
cone of confusion. Once we get it close to it on top of it, right, it becomes all cattywampus and not
yeah.
really reliable. But what about some of the other ones?
Well, some VORs are short range, like terminal VORs, and some are high range. So distance is always a limit. So even the highest ones are like 130 miles of range. So you end up running into places where you have to have another VOR at some point. You're going to be flying. So there's a distance one. Most of the time, it's about 40 miles or so when you have to switch to a different VOR. So if you're just using VORs alone, you're going to have a distance range. You also could have obstacles, so you need line of sight. So if there was a mountain in the way, you were below, let's say you were clear of mountains, but you would be losing signal to that VOR if you were at the wrong altitude. So those are the two main ones. And then of course, as you get there, close enough, technically I think if you're talking about DME also, you have like slant range errors. You could kind of be off a little bit if you're really high and you're going over VOR, but at that point you're pretty high. It doesn't really matter. But the biggest errors
Okay.
are line of sight obstructions, I think.
Okay, is there anywhere that you could check to see, like, let's say you planned on using a VOR to take you from your departure airport onto the route structure, and you weren't guaranteed radar coverage, so you had to build a route to get you, or you had to, find some navigational source that you could be guaranteed that you could safely get from your airport to the in route structure, and your airport doesn't have a SID, it doesn't have an ODP, so you want to use a VOR. Is there any book, is there any source, is there any reference you could go to verify that you're going to be operating within the service volume or even within the operational sectors of a VOR?
Um, at first I thought you were going to talk about like checking if outages, because you can definitely get those will be on the NOTAMs. But in terms of the book, I thought that there was always a VOR with Um, so I don't know. This one I'm kind of stuck on. So I would say I thought that you could always the VOR network kind of blankets in the continental US. You can kind of always have a VOR in range. So um, I would have to. I don't know. I honestly is.
So you're going to go to your chart supplement or your AFD.
Yeah. I
I know
mean
it's not called an AFD anymore.
yeah.
But the chart supplement is you're like, let's say we're at Phoenix
Mhm.
and we want to use the Phoenix VOR. So we're going to go to the chart supplement for Phoenix and we're going to look at the Phoenix VOR, and it's going to it's going to tell us what the usable sectors and altitudes, or unusable sectors and unusable altitudes are.
Okay.
Right. So it's
Yeah.
going to say like from a course of 253 to 222 between altitudes of 1,300 up to 5,000 unusable due to Santan Mountains.
Okay. Yeah. I should have said that. I mean, that's the only when you say is there anywhere we can look, that's kind of the only thing I can think of, the chart supplement, because that's what everything else is. So, and that's where I was. You know, I'm glad I said
And
that now and not not on Monday.
well, yeah, and that's the thing. It's like that's why I kind of ask it, because nobody's ever opened the damn chart supplement since Private Pilot.
Oh no, I have.
When
I've
they're
been.
instructed.
It's big though, and I use ForeFlight so I can search for it because I had to find a VOT test facility because I don't have two VORs, and so I'm like, I don't know if he's going to be cool with me using a GPS to verify my VOR because it's not a dual VOR. So I had to do a ground check just to make sure. So I had to fly to Santa Ana and use the VOT, which they didn't even know where to do it. So, but we figured it out.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's in the chart supplement.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I'm looking
Just
for.
like
I'm like,
everything else.
what airport around me has a VOT? And like, I couldn't find any, and so I had to go all the way to John Wayne. That was the closest one. And I was like, I thought they would be more frequently around, but they're not. There's not a lot. So
No. And I mean, there's other things that you can do. You could do like above a prominent landmark.
that's what I'm gonna be doing after. So I have a couple waypoints that I know of, and I can just go to there with my GPS, and then go to the VOR and see what the reading is. So it's just hard because I'm kind of
Yeah.
looking at a VOR rose. I'm looking for a Victor Airway that's actually close by, that so I know the radial is supposed to be. Because otherwise, how can I compare the radial if I don't know? So yeah, it's one of those things where you're.
Well, how do we see what radial we're on if we're reading a chart?
That's what I was saying. Like if I'm looking at waypoints around my airport that are on a Victor Airway, and then I can look at the radial that it comes off of because it's usually labeled. But otherwise, I can kind of just guesstimate what it is. If I'm like at a waypoint that's not on a Victor Airway, and I look at the rose compass, I can kind of guess what radial that is that's coming off. But it's not like exact because it's got to be within 6 degrees. So I guess I could be within 6 degrees, but it wants me to
Well, I
record
guess
the actual amount off.
what I'm more asking is, let's go, because you kind of brought it up, right?
I want to
And
know
that
it
was kind
anyway
of the
because I need to be able
yeah.
to log my own thing. So
So we're looking at this VOR, right? What is this little flag right here?
that's north. Yeah,
Okay, so is that true north?
that's magnetic north.
Okay, so it's magnetic north when the VOR was built. That's the big difference. It's magnetic north when the VOR was built, and that's how they base the radials on.
Oh,
Because
that's
look,
cool.
these
I
aren't
didn't
the
know
same.
that. Yeah, this is new. I just
Because look, these aren't the same.
yeah,
They
I do
don't
see
have the
it
same
now.
declaration.
Yeah, I see it.
So that's what I was asking. Is like, okay, well, how do you tell what VOR you're on? You could put a plotter on this and put 0 from your plotter on this,
Mhm.
and then measure on these little tick marks, and that'll tell you what VOR you're on or what radial you're on.
Yeah, that's kind of what
So,
I
like,
was.
let's say I was trying to use. Let's go back to the VFR chart. Let's say I was trying to use like Private Iron Mountain pump or Danby Lake, since that's a fairly large. That's a fairly large lake, right? So I could be very easily identify Danby Lake, or maybe we could find something smaller. This mountain peak right here.
Okay.
Okay. What I could do is identify that mountain peak and measure with my plotter off of this declination line. To be honest, I don't know if it's a declination line. I could measure off of this 0 to tell me what radial I should be on.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, if you do it on ForeFlight,
Um,
it'll tell you how far you are too, and you can actually make sure you're 20 miles away.
Now, so ForeFlight will give me the distance. Is ForeFlight telling me the radial?
No, but you can draw a line if you pinch it and spread it. You can actually draw a line from that point to the VOR, and then you can just look at where that line crosses the radial.
Okay, that's kind of what I was asking, because I wanted to make sure you weren't thinking that ForeFlight, the numbers that pop up from ForeFlight,
No, I was just thinking about
those are
drawing
going
a
to
line
be
to the VOR
yeah.
to the point, and then that line will have a distance on it. So I'll know that distance, and then I can look and see what it crosses on the rose compass and read that, and then I can use that. I can write it down, then go and do it, and then there I have it.
Awesome. So, let's get into some more ground-based navigation, right? So you've got that ILS, right? In the event that, let's say, GPS outage, who knows? So we need to know how it works. So what are the big main components of an ILS?
So you have the localizer, which is your lateral guidance, and You have the glide slope, obviously is it going to give you the vertical guidance. That's pretty much what you use from it. Let's see here. So there's DME, I guess, distance from it. No, the ILS doesn't give you DME, so I just think glide slope and
Can it?
localizer. I mean, it can, but it has. It's not like. No, I don't think so. I don't think so.
So
I mean,
every ILS is going every ILS is going to have three things, right? They're going to
Mhm.
have the guidance section, which is the localizer and glide slope that you already brought up, right? You're going to have some kind of distance measuring equipment, and I know like DME technically could be one, but we need to know how far we are from this so that we can make sure that we're crossing the final approach fix or that we're grabbing the glide slope at the appropriate distance, right? So we can use something like cross radials if it's part of the chart. We can use something like marker beacons if they're still functioning, if we're going to be honest.
yeah, no, mine's
DME.
yeah, mine I have GPS, so even if I'm using the ILS, if my CDI it's telling me. So in my mind, I'm like, oh yeah, it tells me the distance, but no, that's the GPS telling me the distance. So, um,
Well, can we use GPS in lieu of DME? Is that
yes,
legal?
no, we can use it. It's not considered technically DME, but I'm just thinking about the signal. It's like my ILS is reading. Mostly, it's just reading lateral and vertical guidance, but I don't really know how it would get information about how far away it is.
Well, what I'm saying is that a lot of people think an ILS is only a localizer and a glide slope.
Right.
That is
That's me.
not an ILS.
Yeah.
Right? That's just guidance.
Mhm.
That's all that is.
Right.
Okay? So an ILS, it's a combination
Mhm.
of multiple sources that is going to guide us down to the pavement, right? So we've got our guidance, our ground-based navigation guidance, which is our localizer, our glide slope, the 90 hertz, the 150 hertz bubbles that shoot out from the antennas. That the localizer 700 feet wide once we're crossing the runway threshold. The glide slope's like 1.4 degrees wide and whatnot, so we can make sure we can follow it down and it doesn't interfere with any other glide slopes around us. Then we've got our distance equipment, whether it be cross radials, DME, GPS in lieu of DME, marker beacons, etc. Then we've got our visual segment of the ILS. We've got our approach lighting system. We've got the runway environment, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think I was thinking.
So-
So when you said ILS, you were talking about the entire system, not just the whatever the antennas beaming out the thing. You're considering like the approach lighting and the PAPIs or the BASIs.
Well, yeah, because like let's
It's
take a
all
look
part of the
at.
system. So ILS is the whole system.
Well, yes, because the ILS it stands for Instrument Landing System.
Right. That's what I mean.
So how are we going to get from instrument conditions down to the landing? Well, it encompasses the entire. Because if the entire approach lighting system is dead on an ILS, our minimums go way up.
Right.
Because it's no longer a fully functioning ILS.
Yeah,
Does that
so
make
I
sense?
just need to make sure I interpret the words ILS as I know that I internalize it as just that, antenna, because I'm looking for that green needle and the green dot coming down. Those are the two things I look for when I'm in the ILS. So those are the things I'm using. And then I've got my GPS giving me the other stuff. But I agree. On the plate, I'm using all that information. I'm using the distances, where the fixes are, the rate, cross radials. I don't do that, but that's what I could do if I had a dual VOR. So
Yep. So I mean, that's kind of the idea. Is like you're not just looking for those green bars that cross. You're not just looking for the glide slope. When you start getting down, you even say it like, "Hey, I'm looking for approach, ALSF2. I'm looking for the rabbits. I'm looking for red terminating bars. I'm looking for all of these things, right?"
yeah, definitely.
So let's say we're cooking down the ILS, right? We're cooking down the glide slope, and I'm about to approach minimums. What am I? And I see just sequential white flashing lights
Mhm.
through the clouds. I don't see anything else. Just a couple sequential white flashing lights. Can I go below my minimums?
Yep. At that point, you've got the runway environment in sight, so you've got the approach lightings, so you can continue to descend. If your minimums are at 200, I think that's probably what it would be if you're on the ILS. You could go down to 100 feet above the touchdown elevation, and then assuming at that point you have even more in sight, you can continue all the way to landing. So yeah, you can continue because you have the runway environment in sight. As you know what you're expecting those lights. You see the lights. You know that you're on course, and that's what they're there for. They're there to get you to the very last end of the runway. So
Okay, so let's say I see the rabbits. What is the other thing? Like that's just I see the rabbits, and then I see some other white lights, but that's it.
like the runway end lights,
Can
probably.
I land?
Well, it's hard.
Um,
So it depends on what you're seeing. If you're seeing the runway end lights, like the flashing two lights, then you know you're getting really close to the runway. And so, I guess it's hard to say, like, are we talking about visibility or, because I mean,
so all we've seen at this point is some white lights. We see sequential white flashing lights, and then
okay.
I'm starting to see maybe two more sets of lights on the side, and then another row of two more sets of lights on the side. But they're all white. None of them have changed to any other color.
Okay, so those are the runway lights. So, I'm at that point, I'm pretty sure you should be on over the runway. And you're already down to 100 feet. At that point, you should be able to land.
All right. Maybe let me go
Yeah, I
and
think I'm a
find.
little.
So what?
I know that there's something
Yeah,
in there. I'm just not sure what.
let me go find an approach. We can,
Okay.
or you know what? Let me just go pull up some ALSF.
So to answer your question
Let's go.
for the DP, I'm going to say that you can go to 100 feet above touchdown elevation until you have the runway in sight. And then if you're stable, at that point, if you can make a stabilized landing, you can go ahead and continue. But you're not going to go below 100 until you're sure you have the runway. For me, those white
All right.
lights are probably runway lights, so I'm thinking that we're at the runway.
So here, let me. So we saw our rabbits coming in,
Yeah.
right? Or this might even be better, right? So we see our rabbits coming in,
Mhm.
and then I see this row of white bars
Okay.
right here.
Not
Do I
flashing.
have the
Yeah.
runway environment not flashing? Do I have the runway environment in sight if all I see is these white lights right here in a row?
Yes, you have the runway environment in sight.
No.
No, it's not.
I have the approach lighting system in sight.
Yeah, I thought that they
So
were
the
part of the
runway
runway environment.
So I need the threshold markings, the threshold lights, the runway end identifier lights, the visual glide slope, the touchdown zone markings, touchdown zone lights, runway or runway markings or runway lights.
Okay.
Are these lights on the runway? Do they identify the end of a runway?
No, they don't. I understand. So that's why I was asking if they were the
All right.
flashing lights, because those would be the rails. But if they're not flashing and they're just that part of the approach lighting system, then I think you can still be at 100 feet though, and you can still be going forward, and you're not going missed. Is that? I mean, I'm going to keep going.
Yeah, so I can go down to that 100 feet
Yeah.
above touchdown zone elevation. All right.
Yeah.
So we need at the very least red side row terminating bars, runway edge identifier lights, visual glide slope indication, touchdown zone markings, touchdown zone lights, centerline lights, runway edge lights, stuff like that. But if we're coming up and all we see is, like, let's say the rabbits, and then we start seeing a couple other groups
We're
of
getting
lights,
closer,
that
but
doesn't
we're
mean
not
we can
there yet.
continue on.
Yeah.
Okay. Yep. Awesome. Now let's say we are about to, let's go and look at well, your airplane has such nice. Let's talk about GPS then.
Okay.
How does GPS work, since that's going to be your primary navigation source?
So they're a sky-based navigation system. They use the satellites that are in orbit around the Earth to give us triangulation to figure out where we are and tell us our location. So that's the broad way of how they work. Obviously, there's more to it for ours because we have other things like WAS, obviously, and corrections. So if you want to go all the way into that, is that
Yeah. So I mean, what is WAS? I mean, you know.
so? Pretty much most navigations nowadays are WAS enabled, and there still are airplanes without them, but almost everything, even a 430, is WAS. So even if it looks like it's older avionics, it's still got WAS. I mean, it should. And if you have WAS, you have a lot more accuracy in terms of how precise your location is, because it's being corrected by the satellite network using some of the information from some of the ground-based stations that it's giving correction to. Not 100% sure how it works. I know that the wide area augmentation system is based off of using correction data fed from ground stations that are in known locations. That receive the signal from the satellites. They send it to the master station. It sends that correction signal back up to the satellite. So when you receive it, you should get the signal it's sending you and the correction. And then your unit, I think, then interprets that and gives you the more precise location, which allows you to go into more precise approaches.
Okay, so what does it allow our airplane to do when you say more precise approaches?
So, well, there's a lot of times when we have to have WAS, like on the approach plate, it will say it's mandatory equipment. So like you can actually, if you happen to have a GPS without WAS, you would not be able to fly that. Or if your WAS was failed, then you wouldn't be able to fly that approach.
Okay, so let's go and take a look at your destination, BFL,
Okay.
RNAV GPS runway 12 right. Is WAS required for this approach?
Let me pull it up real fast. So airports. All right. We said 26, right? Oh no, 30, right?
No, 12 right.
12, right? Okay. GPS 12, right? All right. So it does say WAS on the top, so we do need to have WAS for this one.
So I can't do LNAV minimums?
It says for unconcerted VNAV, VNAV, LNAV. Yeah, you're right. It doesn't say WAS required. It does list at the bottom if you look LVAV, VNAV, and they're circling. So you can do those, I guess, if you didn't have WAS.
Yeah, so how do I know that my airplane has WAS? Like, how do I know that I don't have a WAS outage? How do I know that I haven't lost WAS?
There's two ways. I think that most of the time when there's a failure, most GPSs will tell you that the WAS is failed. But on my airplane, like it'll tell me when LPV has been captured. So if it changes from just the vertical nav to LPV, it actually displays LPV right in the middle of the compass. So at that point, I know I have WAS because I'm on LPV now, which allows me to go all the way down to the lower minimums.
Awesome. So let's say you're past the final approach fix. You intended on doing an LPV approach, and then you got a LOI flag, like the yellow loss of integrity flag. Do I need to go missed, or can I continue this approach?
You have to change your minimums at that point. So you could still continue, but you wouldn't be able to go all the way down to the LPV minimums. You would be stuck at I'd probably just go to the circling minimums or the LNAV, VNAV minimums.
All right. I'm just checking my notes, making sure I'm not going to be. So if I remember reading through the Garmin supplement associated with most Garmin avionics, that LOI flag still gives you 5 minutes of integrity until as soon as it pops up, right? So if we see that LOI flag before the final approach fix, to be honest, I wasn't paying attention. I don't know how long it's been on. So I'm not going to shoot the LPV.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
I got you.
If it pops on after the final approach fix. Now, again, I'd verify this in your Garmin supplement. You know, the LOI flag is, if I remember reading through my Garmin supplement for my Garmin 175, my LOI flag indicates that I do still have a 5 minutes of integrity. But anything past that 5 minutes, there's no guarantee.
I think if it happened on the approach, I would probably let them know and see if I could just climb back up and do some troubleshooting. Because I have another antenna, so
yeah. One other thing I do want to bring up is that for you to do LNAV VNAV requires either a VNAV WAS, right? So even if you lose WAS, that's not guaranteeing that you can still do LNAV VNAV. the only way that you could still do LNAV VNAV is if you also have a Baro nav or Baro VNAV system.
Okay.
Right. So your GPS is receiving barometric data. Your GPS is receiving pedostatic data. And I'm not sure how your system is set up, but just recognize that WAS is not the only. Losing WAS can mean you can't do LNAV VNAV minimums.
Yeah, I was
unless
wondering
you also
why.
have a Baro aiding VNAV.
It says on the chart that you've brought up that it says LNAV minimum descent altitude is at 920, and that's like lower than the decision attitude for the LNAV VNAV, which was weird.
Oh, that is odd.
Yeah, so I was like a little confused. So that's why I said LNAV VNAV because it was just the highest minimum.
Oh, there might be an obstacle that doesn't meet the 3-degree glide path
Yeah,
spacing, right?
that they stay assured. Yeah.
Yeah. So let's say, if we're following this 3 degrees down, right?
Mhm.
Because if you're only doing LNAV, right, we can look at LNAV. There's another little fix specific for LNAV only,
Yeah.
right? I bet there's an antenna down here that punches into the safety area of this 3-degree glide path, associated with the LNAV VNAV spacing, right? Because what's the big difference between an LNAV VNAV and an LPV?
Oh man. Um, well, I think it's probably like you said, it's the safety that it guarantees. Pretty sure that's what it is.
Well,
I always wonder why don't they just have LPV everywhere? And I think it's because the path has to be assured to be, clear of obstacles. The restrictions of your safety, I guess, are higher for LPV in terms of like what's allowed.
well, so that's not the big difference between LPV and LNAV VNAV, right? Because they're both providing vertical guidance,
Mhm.
right? They're both providing a 3-degree glide path down if you stay on target.
Mhm.
What does LPV stand for?
I'm not sure. I'm embarrassed to say. Um, it I don't know what it stands for. I mean, I can look it up if you want. But
No, I mean, we can just talk about it. It's
yeah.
localizer performance vertical guidance.
Okay. Yeah.
All
Localizer
right.
performance. There
So
we go. Yeah.
what does a localizer do once you get closer and closer to it?
It does increase its kind of narrows its deflection. As you get closer, it's more accurate. So like
Yeah, as I get closer, it gets more and more sensitive,
yeah,
right?
more sensitive. Yeah.
Well, that's really what's happening. That's why the minimums are lower, because as you get closer and closer and closer to the runway and lower to the obstacles, the equipment or the LPV gets more and more sensitive. It gets more and more accurate, making sure that you are maintaining that separation between the obstacles. LNAV VNAV, it's a block that drags you, that you stay in that block as it goes all the way down. We can even draw. I'll open up, some Microsoft Paint just to make sure I kind of drill this point home, right? So we got a runway, right? LNAV VNAV, it's a block that takes you down. It doesn't get any more sensitive no matter how much closer you get to the VOR or how much closer you get to the airport, right? But an LPV, it's going to get tighter and tighter as you get closer and closer. Meaning, if there's a tree here,
Mhm.
you've got a whole lot more separation following an LPV than you do following an LNAV VNAV.
Yeah, that makes sense actually. I do wonder some of these things I don't really know the difference between them. Like there's a lot of different the GPS approaches, even though I've done a whole bunch of them.
Well, yeah. So like getting this, so that's why we have two separate like training standards, right? We have the knowledge and then we have the experience.
Yeah.
So experience, right? You're there,
Yeah.
right? We can wiggle the sticks. That's where most people are fine. We can wiggle the sticks and get the aircraft down onto pavement safely.
Yeah.
What we're really concerned is, do you understand why we're wiggling the sticks?
Yeah. No, this is good. I'm glad. That's awesome.
Let me see if I can find a source to direct you to. I mean, I know AIM, in the AIM chapter 1 covers 90% of navigational sources. But I think there might even be a specific chapter in the AIM, I'm looking it up right now, that covers GPS. Because I mean, that is your primary navigation system, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Chapter 1, air navigation. And yeah, chapter 1-1-17 covers a bunch of GPS stuff, and then 1-18 goes specifically into WAS. And then section 2 in chapter 1 goes into that performance-based navigation and RNAV, which that's what your airplane is. It's an RNAV RNAV system, right?
Primarily. Yeah.
Yeah. And what kind of RNAV system do you have? It's GPS, right?
GPS, yeah.
All right. Let's start getting into, I think we start talking about your route and route selection and looking at the charts and such.
Yeah.
So here we are. I've got your route. We're going REI
Yep.
to BFL via PDZ, Papa Delta Zulu, Victor 186, Darts, Victor 459, Lima Hotel Sierra, Amont, Fasto for the Fasto 2. Would you agree?
Yeah. I mean,
All
that's
right,
what I
awesome.
made. I'm kind of hoping what you think about it, but
I mean, it's my only gripe that I've seen so far is, maybe we should get on route sooner.
so the obstacle departure procedure for Redlands is to go to Paradise. Yeah. So that's why I did that. Yeah.
Okay. Let me. I didn't even bother to go look at the ODPs.
I'm just kind of assuming that we are going to be like taking off in IFR. So, I mean,
yeah. So runway 26, climbing left turn, direct to PDC. Awesome. Yep. I like it. Glad that you noticed that and went straight, and followed the ODP, even though you weren't, didn't necessarily get the clearance for it. So, I'm gonna go ahead and give you a craft clearance.
Okay.
And we'll use that. Actually, you mind if we take just a 1 or 2 minutes? I'm gonna use the restroom real quick before we dig into this.
All right.
All right. Well, 1 second. I'll be back.
No problem.
All right, we're back. So, let's go ahead and give you a craft clearance just so you can follow along with a little bit of a scenario, okay? So, whenever you're ready.
I'm ready. Ready to copy.
Awesome. So, RV10, you are cleared to Lopes via radar vectors to PDZ as filed. Climb maintain 3,000. Expect filed altitude within 10 minutes. Departure frequency is 12345, squawk 1200. Expect further clearance at Lopes at 1930 Zulu. Current time 1806 Zulu.
All right. So RV10 cleared to Lokes via radar vectors, Paradise, in as filed 3000, and then climb to expect filed altitude at 10 minutes after, frequency 12345, squawk 1200, and expect further clearance at Lokes at 1930 Zulu. Time is 1836 Zulu.
Time now 1806 Zulu, and just to verify, the fix is Lima Oscar Papa Echo Sierra.
Lima Oscar Papa. Oh, Lopes. Okay.
Lopes, correct.
All right.
Right here on the screen right now. Lopes.
Okay. Yeah.
Awesome. So we take off, right? We do the departure procedure as we do the obstacle departure procedure as published. We get to the Paradise VOR. Once we reach the Paradise VOR, we get a frequency change. With that frequency, so we reach the Paradise VOR. They say continue your climb up to 10,000 and contact center on 124.5.
Okay.
And then we swap on over. We go Paradise Center or whatever center, RV 10, climbing from 3,000 to 10,000. Yeah. And no response.
Okay.
What do we do now?
I'll usually wait a second and then see if they heard me, but they just didn't respond. But if I hear other people on the frequency, like other airliners or something, then I'll just wait a second and then try them again in a couple minutes. If I don't hear anything, I'm going to check the frequency, make sure it's correct. If it's not correct, obviously that could be the problem. But if I don't hear anything and I'm not getting anything, I'm going to try to go back to the previous controller and ask him to give me the frequency again, because I might have gotten the wrong one. And assuming that we've lost comms, so if I don't hear from them, so is that what's happening?
Yeah, so you went back to the old frequency. You tried to contact them. You heard maybe some static, but that was about it.
So I didn't hear anything on the frequency I knew was working. So,
yep.
Actually, what I think I'll do is I'll just quickly check the ATIS that probably San Bernardino or something around there that I can just listen to see if I'm I'm still trying to regain comms, so I'm gonna try that. If I'm by myself, I'm gonna grab the other headset, and so I'll switch headsets, and basically I'm gonna do everything I can think of to try to reestablish communications. At the same time, I'm gonna maintain my route, because I've been cleared a route, so I'm going to continue doing what I'm doing, make sure the plane is still flying the current route. If I fail, like I'm just unable to reestablish communications and nothing I do works, then I'm going to have to squawk lost comm 7600. But I'm going to continue my route unless there's anything else that's wrong with the airplane. But at this point, I've just lost comms, so I'm going to go start following the lost comms procedures, which is to continue flying until I get to Lopes, which I don't know what will happen then, because I was expecting further clearance at Lopes. So this is an interesting scenario I haven't thought about. I've thought about a lot of scenarios, but not this one.
Well, all right. So we expect a further clearance at Lopes at 1935 Zulu. Let's say we're approaching Lopes. We're going to get to Lopes. According to our GPS, we're going to reach Lopes at about 1915 Zulu.
Okay.
What am I going to do now? Still no comms.
Okay.
But your ADS-B is working, so we can still get weather at our airport.
Okay. Yeah, so we've been going. I would have probably slowed down earlier, but since I only realized it now and I'm 15 minutes ahead of time, I'll probably just hold at Lopes until 1930 and then continue my route from after 1930 or at 1930.
Awesome. So we're continuing past our clearance limit.
At
our expect further clearance time. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we're going to continue on with our filed route. Awesome. Now I see you've got the FATSO to arrival as part of your filed route. So what are we going to do? How are we going to accomplish the FATSO to arrival?
Right, hold on.
in a lost comm situation. And just to recap, we're going Amont,
Mhm.
Fasto, Fasto 2.
So let me just go to the airport. Sorry, it's just
No. Take your time. Remember, this is your mock
yeah.
check ride. Even when you get to the check ride, you need to take time to look something up. You need to pull out your iPad or what have you. Pull it out. It's not the end of the world.
Okay, so we are going to the Fasto 2 arrival. I honestly just put that in there because that was on the arrival. I wasn't actually, and we are coming from Lake Hughes. So at this point, I have two choices actually. I can go to Japar first and then intercept, which is probably what I would do because that's less turns. But there's really no, I don't really see, I'm at 10,000. So, um, I mean, I could turn left and go to Ibwen and then descend to 9,000 and then go to Fasto from there, or I could just go to Japar and then intercept the course there. So
Okay, so what was the clearance? Like what did you file, right? Because
well,
when we
yeah, so when I filed, did I file a point between Lake Hughes and Fasto?
so I see Fasto
No,
Airport.
Mont.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I see Amont,
Yeah.
Fasto Airport.
Okay, so yeah, I'm gonna go from Lake Hughes. I'm gonna go to Mont first, then Fasto. So I think that lines up with probably the ILS. Let's look. Yeah, that lines up with the ILS plate. That's why. So
Awesome. So what are we gonna do from what ILS would that be?
3-0 right.
30 right? All right, let's take a pop at let's head and take a peep at that. So we go to Fasto, then what?
So actually, on my files, I have a Mont on there, so you see that over there. But
Oh, let's go take a
basically,
look just to be sure.
I mean, I just wanted you to look at this. So if you wanted, if I had, I, this is probably my weakest point, is because I didn't use ForeFlight at all. I just basically tried to just do it by hand. So, um, I'm kind of not 100% sure about like, because they just give you vectors most of the time. In my short experience, that's what they've been doing. So, um, even if I file it, they usually say, you know, fly this
Well,
heading,
yeah, but
intercept the localizer. But now we've lost comm, so now I've got to fly the Amont then
what
Fasto. Yeah,
exactly? And that's what you're gonna do. You're not gonna fly what you expected.
right.
You're not gonna fly what they normally do, right? Because right now they saw 7600. You know what they're gonna go do? They're gonna go look at your route and they're gonna make sure that there's nobody in your way.
Right.
The moment you jump off of your route because you're like, oh, well, they normally do this, they're going to have to clear the whole airspace because they don't know where the hell you're going now.
Yeah.
Right. And I like what you did. You filed you filed a route that puts you on an approach.
Right.
Okay. My one gripe about this is, I brought up, I was like, oh, your ADSB works, so you're still capable of getting weather. At no point did we talk about, oh, well, I'm approaching a Mont, or hey, let me look at because you got these fancy avionics. You spent 50 grand on avionics that's able to pull an ATIS directly into your airplane.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Do it.
Oh, I
you
do.
know?
Yeah. I might not have said that, but that would have been done, for sure.
Yeah.
And I've got like you said, I have a weather page. I can just pull it all up for the whole area too. So
Exactly. So just make sure, bring that up, right?
Mhm.
DP, like they do a bunch of check rides, right? And a lot of them probably aren't that great. So they're kind of assuming the worst in a lot of these situations. Like I hate to admit it, but like
yeah, I'm using the
you got to
same
convince the
DPE.
DP.
Yeah, I used him for my private, and he came by and checked out my airplane. That's when he gave me the flight plan. So he's a really good DPE, and he's hard, but he's not. He doesn't expect me to be perfect. But as long as you're safe and where you should be, I think it'll be all right.
Yeah, but I mean, and lost comms is one of the big things about being safe. Like it's one of the worst things that can happen in IFR, and I've been in that situation
Yeah.
in a small airplane with dual VORs and an ILS, like no GPS at all. So like it's important. right?
Oh yeah.
Nobody ever thinks of it because they're like, oh, my radios are good. It's like, yeah, but like, come on, are they that good?
I mean, honestly, I lose reception a lot. I fly around here. There's mountains everywhere, and they usually like us to stay lower because of LAX and stuff. So we're always getting obstructed. So I've been passed over so many times, and I switch over and I don't get any response. And then I go back and I say, hey, I'm not getting like just try it again in 10 minutes. I'm like 10 minutes. Okay. It's like
Well,
that's gonna be a ways.
the reason they're okay with that is they still see you.
Right, I know. Yeah.
Yeah, they still have radar coverage. That's why they're okay with it. Because I've gotten the same thing, going back and forth between Sun and Fun and 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 Wisconsin.
Mhm.
They swap us over, and I'm like, I got nothing. They're like, yeah, try it again in a couple minutes. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, okay. Like you still got me on radar. They're like, yeah, you're blipping in and out, but like there ain't nobody else down there, and there ain't no obstructions. You're in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
Like, so yeah, in this situation, you got it right. You hit Lopes. You're going to hang out there until you get to your EFC. Then from Lopes, you're going to continue on your filed route, right?
Yeah.
Which is a Mont, and a Mont is going to take you right onto the arrival, the Fasto 2. And then the Fasto 2 takes you to Fasto, which is also on your approach. Your approach, it's your initial fix or
It's actually
intermediate fix. Sorry.
A mont is it?
Yeah.
That's kind of where I was looking at because even though I'm coming from the south, I was thinking a mont was on the Victor Airway that I'm on. So it's 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 on the Vic. Yeah, it's on there. You see, it's right there at the intersection.
Yeah.
So
And that's the thing. Go ahead.
that's
Sorry.
all I was gonna say. Is it just looked like the most. Just go straight till you hit to Amont, and then you turn left, and you're going into the airport. So
Yeah, and that's to be honest, that's a fairly well designed route. I actually I like this. I think you did a good job.
okay.
A lot of airports aren't necessarily set up like this. They're not set up this well for approaches and arrivals like this. Most arrivals drop you on like a downwind,
Mhm.
and then you got to kind of figure out, okay, how do I get into base and final and stuff like that in an IFR environment. But this one, it drops you right on final. If I was going to be a dick of a DP, of an examiner or a DPE or something like that, I might say like, oh no, you bust out, but then you see the windsock is showing it's stiff tailwind.
Mhm.
Are you going to take this landing?
So I've already busted out. Am I at circling minimums or am I at like
You're at ILS minimums, 200
Oh.
to 205 feet off the ground, and you see the windsock. It's completely rigid with a tailwind.
No, I'll just go around and then I'll just I'll go mist and then ask for the approach to the opposite runway. So
Your radio's dead.
oh I busted out well in that case that's a good one because now I guess it depends on how stiff it is. So if it's a
The
tailwind.
windsock is rigid.
Oh yeah, so I'm
What does
not,
a rigid windsock indicate?
then I'm not gonna do it though because I'm not gonna crash for that, and I'm gonna go back into the. Oh man.
How do we prevent this? We use the available resources,
Right.
get the
Yeah.
weather.
So this is why I should have checked the weather ahead of time.
Yep.
And so let's say
and
let's say I did check the weather. I'm doing my filed route and I'm at Mont and I look at the weather. I'm doing my briefing and I've realized that I'm not going to be able to land. So
well, we'd go to our alternate. What's your alternate?
my alternate I put all the way over. And this is a good question because I didn't know what to do because this is the best airport around. So like all the close airports, if I can't get in here, like I don't really know about. So I put it. The reason I chose over there is because first of all, I just came from there and I should know a little bit about the weather. And also, there's actually a big mountain range right there, so there's a good chance that there's clear skies over there. So that's like
Okay.
the desert. So there's a good chance that I'll be able to get in there. If it's that Bakersfield area is always cloudy, it's calm. So, but it could be completely sunny just across the. So that was kind of my thought process.
Okay. So how are we going to get there? Because I look at your route
Yeah.
and I don't see any route to take us there to your alternate.
I wasn't sure about this
You've-
part. Like, do you file the whole like alternate route also? Like the mist, like that's what I was kind of curious about because it just on ForeFlight when I built it, I just listed the I just listed it. I didn't actually do anything else.
Well, you can put an alternate route in.
No, I know, but I'm saying like on my when I did my route, I just did the route to there, and then I went to proceed to file, and then just listed the alternate. So I didn't actually,
Okay.
yeah.
So you didn't pick the alternate. The airport
No,
ForeFlight
I
recommended
picked
this
it, but I
alternate.
just listed it. All I did was enter the identifier for the alternate, right?
Okay. Well, I mean, it is possible for you to file alternate routes. Let me see if I can see it in here. I'd have to dig
It
into
does, I
ForeFlight, but I
think.
know I.
So you can see it does it if you look at, yeah, go down a little bit right there. It says alternate. I'll scroll up a little bit. Sorry. So right there it
Oh,
says,
is this your alternate route? No.
no,
Where are we looking?
that's the
Sorry.
main
Oh,
one.
there it is. Alternate route.
There you go. Yeah.
But that's the thing. It's alternate route
It's
direct.
just direct. Yeah. So this is the part where
So that's what they're expecting of you.
I mean, I probably would do that then, because I would climb
Okay.
and file direct, because I can climb over those hills pretty easily. And
So what altitude would you climb up to?
um, I understand what you're getting at the 12.2. I know that 12.2 is there, but it's not there. Ah, that's a tough one because I know this area, so I know that I don't have to go to 12.2. I mean, I do have to if I'm off route. So if I'm in IMC, I'm gonna have to probably follow the Victor Airways and stay, or I can go to 12.2. You know what? I can get there, so I'll just go up to 12.2 at that point.
Okay, so you see why it's important to file an alternate route too?
Yeah, no, this is great.
Okay.
This is great. This is actually what I have to send to him, so I haven't sent it to him yet. So I don't think he watches
Yeah, so
your
I mean,
channel. So.
yeah, so I mean, if I was to do this, I mean, this one does kind of suck because there isn't really any
Well, let me ask
routes.
you the first question: is this like would you file? Is this too far away? Is it? Would you just file an alternate that's closer by? Because they're all smaller airports. You know, they're all like, this is the biggest airport. If I can't get in there, I'm like not sure if I'm gonna be able to get. It's not like I don't feel like I could get into any of the other airports.
Well, so you could try and take into account like the altitudes with getting there, because like if I pick an alternate out to the west, you can see I've got much better Arokas.
Right. Yeah.
Right. I mean, I'm not from this area or anything like that. That is kind of far, general aviation wise, for an alternate.
Mm-hmm.
Like how long is this route right here? Come on. Come on. Tell me how far that leg is. It's not going to tell me how far this leg is it? Oh, no. Is it the 50-mile one? Yeah, it's 50 miles. So, I mean, it's 50 miles for an alternate. That is a little far, general aviation. I mean, what's your cruise speed? I forget.
Like I put 150, but I can go
I mean,
faster than that.
150. I mean, I guess that's 20 minutes. That's not
Another
that
thing
bad.
you were just talking about, because so I have a pretty wide range of cruising speeds, but my plane can easily go 165, to airspeed. So
Yeah. So, I mean, 20 miles or 20 minutes for an alternate. That's not terrible. I mean, it's a little far for my comfort because I mean, for me, it would take 30, 45 minutes to accomplish this.
Mhm.
But, if you're cruising at those kind of speeds, what I might even recommend is, you've got this route that takes you over to Paso Robles
Mhm.
Municipal. I mean, that's a fairly large, from my understanding, it's a somewhat of a larger airport. It's got a couple approaches to get you in there. It's got a different nav source to get you in there.
Yeah, no, Paso Robles.
That would probably be my choice.
Okay.
Right, because your aircraft's fairly well equipped when it comes to what approaches can I shoot and how low can I go.
Mhm.
So your limiting factor is most likely going to be tailwind, closed runway, incident at the airport closure causing you to go to an alternate. It's not going to be weather's too low because, like, let's say if it was 0-0, you're not even going to depart.
Yeah. Well, so I was also thinking about doing continuing northbound, because you do reach more. There's a lot of airports around. You know what I'm saying? Because it's sort of like I've got a lot of chances, and I can also say, well, I guess I can't talk, but I guess it's hard because you've thrown in the lost comms. So, but pre-flight, when I'm planning, I'm thinking about like if I can't get in here, where do I want to go? But I was thinking if I keep going north, there's a lot of airports first of all, so I can like have a better chance of finding one with good airport. And it does lead up to Fresno, which usually is VFR. I mean, it's far enough away, and it's got a lot of approaches, two different ILSs, so you got a back course and it. So the wind, you can use it either way. So
Yeah. So I mean, that's a little bit of a journey, but I mean, it keeps you on a route, so you were not worried about Arokas.
yeah, and
You
there's a
have a
lot of
route,
choices.
you have an alternate route that you can file, and there's a lot of options. So I mean, to be honest, that might be a better alternate,
Yeah. Okay.
right? Because if we're, you're saying the farther you go up this way, the more likely you are to enter VFR, right?
Yeah, and that's
So
another
what do I do in a lost comms situation if I get to VFR?
VFR. Yeah.
I land.
Yeah, you land wherever you can. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So I mean, I might start thinking like up here, especially because like your airplane's fast, it carries a lot of fuel. I mean, what's your range on that thing on full tanks?
Like 800.
Yeah. So I mean, it's not like we're concerned about okay, can I get there?
Yeah.
You got 800 miles of range. Our initial route was.
Oh yeah, no, we got. I always carry extra fuel anyway, so.
Yeah. So I mean, our initial route to our destination is 150 miles. So I mean, us going all the way up to Fresno for an alternate, like I mean, it's another what, 10 gallons?
No, it'll be less than that, but yeah.
Oh, okay, that must be nice.
And it doesn't weigh much. It's 1,250
Yeah.
pounds, so it's free.
But I mean, that's
Yeah, sorry.
so no. I was just saying, is the lost comms scenario really digs into do you understand what you're going to do and how important it is to have a solid plan before you ever leave the ground?
Mm-hmm.
Because
definitely, especially
that's what you're going to fall back on.
Yeah, definitely. I didn't think about the lost comms part, which he's definitely going to ask about. So that's definitely good that we did that.
Yeah. Let's go take a look at the approaches because this is what you filed for. So let's go just take a look at all of these approaches just to make sure there's nothing cattywampus or weird. Okay, so let's for now pretend that this is still your alternate. What is this little A up here mean? Oh, you can't see it. There you go. This little A up here mean.
So that's non-standard alternate minimums.
Okay, so what are the normal alternate minimums?
If this one has a precision approach, this would be a 602, so 600 feet and 2 miles of biz. And if it doesn't have precision approach, then it's 802.
Okay, does this airport have a precision approach?
Well, I'm not sure. That one is not one, but let me look at the procedures. Well, that is a GPS approach, but I don't know if it has an ILS. I don't.
Well, if we planned it as our alternate, we should probably know that, right?
Oh man.
Yeah. No, it does not have a precision approach.
Okay, so that's 802. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's 802, but it also has this A. So what is the actual alternate minimums for this airport?
Yeah, I'm looking it up right here. You got to go into the documents page and then go to flight. I mean the part supplement, and go to Southwest, and scroll down to.
What was it again? What was the identifier again?
Oh,
I guess I could go back here.
I've gotten lost on my own.
MHV, Mike Hotel Victor.
I'm trying to.
Mike Hotel Victor. Let me just. There it is, Mike Hotel Victor.
Okay, there we go.
So it says 1 and 2.
Yeah, so for us, it's going to
run.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So the first one just says not available if local weather is not available, and then the second one applies to category C and D, and then so does the third. So neither of those apply to us. So we just apply the standard minimums, assuming we have weather. But if we don't have weather, which we can get on our we can't get it through the radio, but we can get it through the computer.
Yeah, I can get it through the computer, or I mean, your airplane has Bluetooth. Call the tower.
No, but I lost comms.
Call them on the radio or on the phone.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Your airplane's got Bluetooth. Use all available resources, right? If we're in an emergency situation, we can deviate from any part of this chapter to comply, to safely comply or conduct our whatever emergencies, right? If your airplane's got Bluetooth, use your phone. I've done it.
Oh, I do. I have to, because at
Yeah.
Redlands I can't get IFR clearance on the ground. I have to call. So I sometimes can, but most of the time they tell me to call. SoCal's like,
Yeah.
call them. We're busy.
Yeah. But what I'm getting at is like use all your available resources. If you've got phone, if you got Bluetooth, use it.
Okay, yeah, that's fine.
Because that really solves a whole lot of these problems. Like, hey, I tried to I'm in flight. I'm RV10. You gave me a radio frequency change. I swapped over. My radio took a crap. Can I just call you and we continue on this route? And they'll be like, oh, okay. You declaring an emergency? Yes, I'm declaring an emergency. Squawk 7600. Blah blah blah. Okay, well, proceed. Direct this fix. Direct. Continue on your assigned route. Call us when you hit a moan if you can. Or a mont.
Yeah, that's actually, I didn't think about doing that earlier. I probably could have done that also. Would you have done that right away when you lose comms? Would you try to call them on the...
If I've got the signal, I don't see why I wouldn't. Your airplane's got autopilot too, so.
And then the real question is, if I know I'm going into weather and I'm lost comms, and I guess it depends on the situation of where I just left from. Would you just, let's say you were in VFR when you took off, but you know you're going into weather and you've lost comms. Would you just deviate because you're in
Turn
VFR?
around.
Yeah, you're in VFR, right? So
yeah. If I'm in visual conditions and my radio fails, I'm putting it on the ground.
All right, let's
say obviously on pavement or something like that.
Let's say you took off in VFR, then you're flying around, and then you hit the clouds. Now you're in the clouds, but then you hit lost comms. You know it's VFR where you came from. Should you turn around?
Well, no, because what are they expecting me to do? What does 91.175 tell me to do? 91.175 lays out the instructions for a lost comms situation.
Okay, so if I'm not at that point, I'm let's say, so even though I know it's VFR behind me and I'm in lost comms, I'm just gonna
who's behind you?
That's right. Okay.
Is there an airplane behind you?
Maybe. Could be anyone.
Very, very possibly there could be an airplane behind you. So you're just over here like, send it. Right? We see the problem, right? If you're in VFR, and there's an airplane behind you that's on an IFR flight plan, guess what? Look at them. Avoid smacking into them.
No, that's what I think. That's what I would do. And I just want to verify that, there's not like other, like I know the VFR one. If you're VFR, then just stay VFR. But
yeah.
It's kind of like,
and that's the thing. It's like if you're VFR, stay VFR. Go ahead.
Let's say with icing. Let's say that you're the same situation, but now you're encountering icing. I want to turn around now. Descend and turn around, and I'm gonna go emergency. At that point, if I go emergency, and they know, hey, this guy's in trouble too. He's not just lost comms. So.
Exactly. So if we swap from 76 over to 77, they're like, oh, well, he's got something else going on. Clear the space.
Yeah.
Right. They're going to start telling other airplanes like, hey, climb or hold, or, they're going to try and clear the airspace because they don't know where the hell you're going at this point.
Yeah.
Right. But if we lose radios and we squawk 7600, they're expecting us to follow 91.175. Is it 91.175? I keep saying 91.175, but I feel like that's the one about, 91.175 is the one about MDAs and MEAs. 91.185 is the one with lost comms. All right.
Cool.
Awesome. So let's see, where are we at? I know we got a little off track for a little bit.
That was good though. I mean, you found a spot, and this is important for me because this is what he's going to talk about. And so now I've got a much more prepared responses, and I can maybe add that alternate route too, and change it maybe.
Yeah, and that's what I would do is I'd change the alternate. I'd change to an airport where you could actually develop an alternate route where it wouldn't require you to go up to 13,000 feet.
Yeah.
You know, because I mean, climbing all the way up for shooting an approach and then having to climb all the way up to 13,000 feet, that's going to be a little excessive, right?
Yeah.
So just to kind of check a couple more boxes, let's just talk about some stuff on the chart. All right. So right here at Arvin, so we see, oh wait, you can't see my chart. I'm sorry. There we go. Right here at Arvin, we see this flag with the X on it. What is this flag with the X on it?
That is the minimum crossing altitude. So you have to cross it those altitudes depending on which direction you're going, which in this case they're the same. So
awesome. Now, what about? I just saw one not too long ago. Where'd it go? Let's go find.
oh no.
Kinds of... Let's leave the area that you recognize.
No, I've got all the other ones memorized.
What is this? Why is this filled in?
That's a compulsory. That's a VOR DME, but it's also compulsory, so you have to report it because you're probably not in radar.
Radar coverage, yep.
Yeah.
What are some of the other times that? What are some of the other mandatory reports?
Well, the most common ones are like when you're in the hold, if you go missed, if you are leaving a hold, you have to report when you reach final approach fix. You have to report if you can't make the right climb. You have to report if your airspeed is plus or minus 10 knots, what you have filed, or your ETA is more than 3 minutes delayed or early. I'm not sure about the early part, but it's plus or minus 3 minutes, or is at least one of those. But there's an acronym, the marvelous VFR C500, that if I wrote it down, I could get all of them. But
okay, but if we're in flight,
Mhm.
should I start like pulling out my knee board and writing out marvelous VFR C500? Be like, oh, should I have said something then?
No, hopefully you would know when when those things happen. So like if you're on an approach, you would know that this is the final approach fix. I'm gonna say that, or if you're in a hold, you're leaving a hold. So I guess it's more like in the situation it would be there, but if you wanted to know all of them in the world, that's what the acronym's for.
Well, and that's the thing is like we kind of need to know them in the event that we need to make a mandatory report, right?
Yeah, I've been practicing. I make the reports, even though they'll give us all sorts of different things. And mostly it's like, shut up unless they talk to you around here. So try not to say, but I just say it to my instructor. So
yeah. No, that definitely makes sense. The last thing I really want to go into on this chart, let's go to Salt Lake City, KSLC. And you've probably already seen this one if you've watched all the videos.
maybe.
But
just because I've seen it doesn't mean I remember it.
But let's go look at the Salt Lake 4 departure out of Salt Lake City.
Okay.
If I could pull the damn thing up. All right, awesome. There it is. So are you capable of this departure? Let's say we were departing Salt Lake City and they said, depart Salt Lake City off a runway 16 right via the Salt Lake 4 departure, then as filed. Are you capable of this departure procedure?
Let's look here. Radar required. This is a radar. I believe so.
Okay, how do you know?
Well, I don't see anything that says I can't. I don't see like turboprops or jets only, or and I don't see any altitudes or speeds or climbing gradients that are without my limits. I have radar because I'm playing, so they can see me. This is a radar vector departure was signed, so I just don't.
So off a runway 16, assigned on heading 163 standard. with minimum climb gradient of 260 per nautical mile to 6,000, assigned heading 283 clockwise to 343, standard with minimum climb gradient of 400 feet per nautical mile up to 8,300. Is your aircraft capable of those climb gradients?
Yeah.
Okay, how do you know? Like, what would be the minimum feet per minute that you would have to maintain to meet these climb gradients?
For me, that would be, I usually go 90 knots, so that would be about 600 feet per minute. So my plane could do that.
All right, yeah, I just wanted to make sure. So yeah, it'd be about 600 feet per minute. That's a nice ballpark. That's actually,
well,
it's actually exactly it. I just did the math.
The 90 knots is actually what I fly. My VY, I had to test it myself, and I didn't really find much difference between 85 and 95, and so I just put 90. And also 90 is just 1.5, so it's just 1.5 minutes. So you can basically just, the math is easy. But also climbing a little faster, I mean, than 85 or whatever, because mine experimentally were about the same. It keeps a little bit more air cool. Plus, you're going there. You're not just waiting to climb and then going. You're actually already going. I mean, honestly, I will climb faster than that, like 100 knots or something, if I don't need to. 100.
No, and I mean that's fair. I was just making sure you had a solid understanding of what your aircraft's performance was and what it would take for you to meet those climb gradients.
Yeah. Well, this plane can climb.
Yeah,
and we can climb at like 2,000 feet per minute on my plane. If it's even at Big Bear, we were at like 8,300 density, filled up with tanks, two of us, and we just got off at like no problem. We're still getting like 1,000 feet per minute. So
what is it got for an engine? I forget.
it's got a 390. It's got 215 horsepower, and it weighs 1,250 pounds.
Yeah, that'll do it. That'll do it. The thing generates its own relative wind at that performance. Awesome. So what I would say where we're at is the lost comms situation was a little weak, right? So go through, read 91.185, 91.183. I think has some more details on it. But I feel like we talked a lot about it, but just run the scenarios,
Absolutely.
right? Run the scenarios. Build a fake flight plan. Go into ForeFlight. Pick 2 airports you think somebody's probably flown between. Look at the previously cleared routes, and then think, okay, if my radio was to fail here, what would be my plan? Okay, and then work yourself through it, just so it's not just this one time, right? Because you practice something once, sure, you might feel like, okay, it's perfect, it's great, right? And then you get asked about it in 2 weeks, and you're like, oh crap, I don't remember, right? So just run a couple scenarios, and you'll probably be solid. I would go read through the chapter 1 of the AIM, but I mean that's where most students are. You just gotta crack open the book and actually read through it, get the information. Your flying skills are probably fine. It seems like we might have spent a little bit more effort on working on the wiggle in the stick as opposed to why we're wiggling the stick. But again, that's a lot of students, because I know IFR is a lot. You're shooting a lot of approaches, you're doing a lot of work. It's a whole new system. You're not looking out the window, so the last thing you want to do after not looking out the window all day is come home and read a book.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Am I right?
I don't really learn that way. Like for me, I remember from doing. So like everything when you ask me a question, I think about the airplane and I visualize it, and then so I'm kind of answering off of that, and that's why I said the first question was the GTN 650, because when I turn on the Avionics Master, which powers up that, everything goes from red X's to being green. So that was why I thought that. But once we started talking about it, like, oh crap, I missed the first one.
Yeah, well, and I mean, it's not necessarily a matter of first one or whatnot. What we're more we talked about it, right? What I'm just trying to get across is make sure that this isn't the last time that you think about it, right?
Oh, yeah,
so if reading a book isn't the way to do it, bring the book with you and go sit in the airplane and kind of have a physical action associated with the knowledge, right? What I tell a lot of students is, every time go write some flashcards, and every time you get one right, eat a cookie or something. I mean, have some kind of physical action attributed to it.
I'm trying to get lighter, but
yeah. And eat a carrot or something. I don't know, whatever your favorite vegetable is. But you get what I'm saying, right? We're attributing a physical action that tricks our dumb, monkey brains into thinking something good happened, right?
Yeah.
Because like dumb monkey brains weren't intended to fly through the air or understand why we're flying through the air. What they do understand is do something good, get something good. Remember that thing.
Yeah.
So if we do something good, get something good. If we can tie it back to the information we're trying to retain, it's a whole lot easier to, well, retain it. So let's talk a little bit about some weather. Some of the big concerns that we've got when it comes to flying in IFR, right? Because beforehand we were staying out of the clouds. Now that we're going to be in the clouds, we're constantly within visible moisture, and that's one of the things we need for icing conditions, right? Visible moisture. What's the other thing we need for icing to occur?
Besides visual moisture, you need to have freezing temperatures. So,
Yeah, I need to have freezing temperatures, either atmospheric or surface of the
or the
aircraft at or
contact,
below the
yeah.
temperature of freezing. Yeah. So what conditions would be more conducive to clear icing, and how would you identify clear icing?
Well, if you really got into some heavy precipitation, like a thunder, like a thunderstorm or something, large droplets, super cool droplets, that could easily result in clear icing. Um, it's going to be hard to notice because it's clear, and it's also going to be hard to get rid of. And so hopefully you notice when it started raining really hard and you have already gotten out of it. But that's a real dangerous situation for sure.
Yep, heavy rain, lots of precipitation.
Mm-hmm.
Now, does the FAA define known icing conditions?
No, they don't. I don't think they define it other than you're a pilot, so you should know that there's icing in that. That's kind of the pilot's decision.
Yep. It's like conditions that are conducive to icing. That's known icing conditions, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So what about rime icing? When is that going to occur?
And so this is more like you've just been floating around through slightly like misty air that suddenly is now cold enough to start freezing and building up, and it's like I said, mist, mostly light precipitation, more sustained, more
All right.
typical, I would say, actually, more likely to rain.
All right.
Yeah.
So since you do have an airplane that's got some pretty decent performance and it's got some altitudes it can get up to, you did bring up that it's got oxygen.
Mhm.
When do you, as the pilot, need to be using that oxygen?
So I need to start using it if I am going to stay above 12.5 for more than 30 minutes. And then even if I'm going to go to 14.5 immediately. So it depends on really where you're going to fly. If you're going to fly at 13,000 just for 10 minutes, then that's fine, but you don't have to use it. But if you're going to stay there for more than 30 minutes, you have to put it on. And then, of course, if you get to 14.5, you got to put it on no matter how long you stay there. So
Is it 14.5?
Oh, no, sorry, it's 14 flat.
Yeah, it's 14. Yep, 14 flat. What about your passengers?
So crew members are also going to have it at 14,000, and I think passengers are at 15,000.
Yep, passengers need to be provided supplemental oxygen. So does your O2 system have two
Yeah.
ports since it's two seats?
Yeah, it
Awesome.
has two. Yeah.
All right. Now, since we are going to be in IFR, spatial disorientation is one of the biggest killers of people in IFR, right? Can you talk to me about the leans?
Yeah, the leans are usually when you're in a turn for a prolonged amount of time, and then now you leveled off, and your brain, since it got used to being in that turn, thinks that you're turning the opposite direction. So,
Okay. Now, what could this lead to?
well, if you think you're in a turn, you could actually go back to where you were and actually be in level flight. You think you're in level, so you could go back into that same turn thinking that you're level, and then you notice your altitude dropping, so you might pull back on the stick, and then that could lead you into a graveyard spiral. Because you think you're losing altitude because you think you're level, so you pull back, and then that just makes it worse. You just now are descending faster, so you pull harder, and you're not, by the time you start accelerating down fast.
All right. Now, how would you tell the difference between a spin and a spiral in IFR?
Oh, the G-forces would be significantly stronger in a spiral versus a spin. In a spin, the direction will be a lot more rapidly changing than a spiral. So spirals are going to be a lot of G-forces and a lot of airspeed, and spins are actually going to be pretty benign, I guess. Or
I wouldn't say benign. I would say they're
not as forceful
you're not as fast,
and not as
right?
fast. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, so why is it important to be able to identify the difference between a spin and a spiral, especially in IFR?
Because the recovery is different for each. So, yeah.
Awesome. Yep, because the recovery is different for each. And I mean, don't get me wrong, your airplane isn't the RV 10 rated for like 10 Gs or some nonsense like that.
Yeah, it's actually a 14, the 14, and it is an aerobatic aircraft. So,
Oh, sorry,
yeah.
14. Sorry.
Yeah. So it's I think it's +6 -3 is the capability it's rated for.
Okay.
Yeah. But you have to be at a certain
Awesome
grade for that. So.
Well, yeah, you're gonna be in what, the utility or aerobatic category?
That's right. Yeah. So depending on how much
All
you
right.
load the plane, that depends on how much you can take. In terms of G-forces.
And I mean, the only reason I ask is because, like, you know, if we get into like a spiral, like a Cessna 172, and we try and recover because we think we're in a spin by stomping the rudder, the airplane's not rated for those kind of G forces. We could snap the tail off, right?
Absolutely.
With your airplane, given what it's rated for, it probably would be fine, even if you tried that.
I don't know. The rudder's like that rudder's huge and it's a lot of force. So even at cruise, you try to push on it, it won't move. So probably if you tried to step on it and you were in a spiral, it would just not move. Unless you step really hard because you're really strong. Because it's pretty solid. If I push on the rudder in cruise, like it takes a lot of force and it doesn't really move very far. But it'll move the airplane, but the actual physical rudder is not going to move far.
I guess with how big it is, and I mean, it's not like, I'm assuming you don't have much of a pulley advantage for your rudder with this one, just to make it a simple. Yeah. Or is this one cables or push tubes?
It's cables, yeah.
It's cables.
Yeah, so it's just directly connected to an elevator horn on the back that kind of pulls on like this. So.
Oh yeah, all right. Well, I mean, we talked about mostly what I would focus on, what I would work on. I mean, is there anything that you're really concerned about that you really wanted to talk about that we didn't really dig into that much? I mean,
so I guess I did have one question. So I wrote down, like, there's places on the chart that they have multiple SIDS and stars, right? And I'm not sure, like, when I go to an airport like Long Beach or something, and I'm supposed to look at my possible, like at Redlands, I look at the departure procedure. There's just one. But what do you when you get to an airport and it's like there's like 6, 7 different departure procedures? Like, you just look at every one, or is there an easy way to decide which one is appropriate for you?
Oh, look at the TAF. I mean, what I would say is look at the TAF, right? See what weather is supposed to be appropriate, right? So if some of these departure procedures are only for certain runways, well, if the weather from the TAF is showing me that we're probably not going to take off that runway, then I'm not going to bother looking at it. What I'm also going to do is, like, there's nothing requiring me to take off immediately once I get my clearance, right?
Right. So after you get it,
let's say they gave me something that I didn't plan on. Okay, ATC standby, I need to look over that plate to make sure I'm capable of it.
Okay.
That's it, right? Because once you read back your craft clearance, that's an assumption that you're capable of it. There's nothing stopping. Like, ATC's given me clearances, and I'm like, I'm gonna need like 2 minutes to take a look at that. Do you mind? And they're like, oh yeah, no, fine. Call us back when and let us know.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you also, like, is there a significance to like the 1, the 2, the 7 on these, like on the
it's
stars?
the version.
It's just the version.
It's the version of it. Yeah. So like, it started with the O'Hare, like for O'Hare, for example, which is a radar vector departure. So I don't know how they're changing it this often. But it when I started at the airlines, it was the O'Hare 3. It is now the O'Hare 9 or 8.
Okay.
Because they're making small changes to the chart.
Okay.
A lot of times, I think actually what they're changing on that one is a new building is getting built or is taller now, or a new antenna goes up, so they have to put something else on it, right? So that's the numbers, is the version.
I thought I saw a video of you I think you did a flight to Oshkosh on the simulator, and you had all of them up on ForeFlight. Is that true? Is that I just watched so many videos. I'm not sure if that was you or not, but it was like on ForeFlight and or departing to go to Oshkosh, and they're building a flight plan, and like all of the departure procedures were actually visual on there, so you could kind of see, oh, I'm going to go this direction, so I'm going to choose this departure procedure.
So ForeFlight does do that. Yes,
Mhm.
you can. Let me see. It might do it on ForeFlight Web. I don't log into ForeFlight on my
I
computer
know
that often.
ForeFlight Web is annoying because
Um,
it doesn't have the same capabilities as your iPhone.
yeah, and I don't log into. Do I have it set up? No, I don't. So let's just go to Minneapolis, for example, and procedure. Oh, it would be in route, wouldn't it? But route isn't an option on. Oh wait, yeah, there it is. So let's go at desk. So here we are. We're gonna let's say MSP to KORD, right? Route advisor. Yeah, it doesn't seem like that is an option on here. Huh. That
Well, I
sucks.
mostly
Yeah,
plan
but
my
that is
flights
an
on
that is an option.
yeah, I mostly plan my flights on my phone, so it does have more capabilities, and same with weight and balance and stuff. I couldn't figure out how to do a lot of stuff on the ForeFlight Web. I couldn't.
Yeah, it's not great.
Yeah,
Let me go to ForeFlight and just make sure and see where we're at.
that's kind of what I was doing on my phone too. I was just like trying to do it on here because it's just faster.
Yeah, so let's say KMSP KORD. That's my route. Cancel.
Yeah, that one has a
Flight
lot of
plan.
departures.
Yeah, and so you're seeing that. You're seeing that I go to procedures, I go departures, and then I can zoom in, and you see it's showing me all the different kind of directions that all the departures go.
Okay, so how did you go from there to like I'm on the departure page? How did you go to
So go back to your main page
the maps?
on ForeFlight.
Yeah.
Yeah, just go back to the main page on ForeFlight.
Okay.
Tap on flight plan on the top or FPL up on the top, and it
Gotcha.
brings you that whole little thing. Click procedures, and then it brings you that whole new page of what procedures are available.
What was the airport identifier?
Oh, MSP to
MSP.
KORD.
Okay.
And if I
There we go.
tap flight plan on the home page, procedures, departures, and now it shows me kind of the routes of all the different departures.
That's exactly what I was looking for.
Yep.
Yeah, there it is. I got it.
That's exactly what you're looking for.
Now,
Don't get me wrong.
Like,
If
they
you're
don't
in
make any sense. All these names, they like Ziggy 5 is like I don't know what that means. Like I just have I've been
Ziggy is
opening them and looking at them and then closing them and trying the next one, and it's like this takes forever. Like
yeah. And I mean when I'm at work, for example, right? I look at the one that I filed and
yeah.
I look at the one that the dispatcher has filed for, and then if I get a clearance for something else, I look at it, right? But I mean, I guess the big difference is I'm not filing it. You know, I'm not the one making the plan. But if I'm filing one like general aviation, that's what I'm doing. I'm going to that procedures tab and I'm looking at all of and it's like, oh, okay, that one's going north. Let me tap on that one, look at it. Can I do that one? Okay, yes. But I mean, let's be honest, general aviation, we're so slow. Well, for you, you're quick enough. And, you know, for heaven's sakes, at a cruise speed of 160, that's the approach speed of an Airbus, you know, so you can keep up.
No, it's fast plane. It's like a Bonanza. It's kind of like a Mooney. It's fast for general aviation. Yeah.
Yeah. No, and I mean, I kind of want to build one. They need to put one on floats. Like that Seawind that I looked at it's got the speeds, it's got the same speeds as that thing. They even made a turboprop one that'll get up to 240 and do 220 indicated. Or true, sorry.
And my plane stalls at like 49 knots with the flaps, so it's pretty good plane.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, we talked about where you're at and where you need to be, and what you should probably, work on. But if you work on those things, I think you'd be pretty solid.
Yeah, I do. I think so. I think I'm good enough. I don't think I'm perfect.
Uh,
I feel like I'm ready.
um,
I mean, I don't know. If I'm not, then
so the lost comms was definitely a
yeah,
concern, right?
yeah,
If I had a student that was that kind of that we had to work through that much on lost comms, we'd probably go up and do a flight or two and
mhm,
simulate lost comms,
yeah.
just to kind of drill home what we talked about before I signed him off. Just to be honest.
Yeah, I had a like problem like I had my instructors kept going to the airlines and then COVID and then I had a instructor who passed away and then it's like it's been really
Oof.
difficult not having a consistent instructor, honestly. So they tend to do that. They like if you're not fasting through it, they like go to the airlines and they're based in Georgia and you're like, okay, well now I need to find an instructor again. So,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Believe me, when I was getting ready to go to the airlines, I finished all the students I had.
yeah,
I didn't take on any new students because, like, it happened to me once or twice where I'm just like, what the hell? Like, what are you
yeah.
like?
What about me?
I got, yeah. Like, what about me? Like, what's going on here?
Yeah.
Um. So yeah, I did. Like, it frustrated me, so I didn't want to. I didn't want to do that to my students,
Hmm.
which is mainly why I don't take on students
Yeah.
anymore. I don't take them on like I'll do like a BFR, I'll do transition training, but anything more than 10 hours, I'm not going to take on a student because I can't guarantee to give them the time that they need.
I think this platform, like this, is actually pretty good. And this is kind of like the future. I think this is probably a good way to do it because you can reach a lot of people, and also, I mean, I watch all your videos. I feel like you just hit things that I hadn't seen on video before. So, yeah,
Well, and that was kind of the goal. Like, I know
yeah,
some of these mock check rides, some of
yeah,
the people are like, "This is ridiculously hard. Like, what is going on here?" And it's like, well, I don't know. I don't know what the DPE is going to do. I've seen
yeah,
some DPEs that like they like. I had my instrument check ride oral was 9 hours.
yeah,
And when he went and debriefed my instructor's like, I don't know what you're talking about. You're going to have to teach me. Right. So the last thing I want is that to happen to somebody else because I don't know what the
yeah.
DP is going to dig into. I've seen some a 9 hour instrument oral. I've also seen some DPEs where they literally have like a commercially available study guide
Mhm.
right in front of them for the check ride, and they ask questions verbatim out of that commercially available study guide.
Yeah,
And it's like, what are we doing? Like, that's, oh my God, you're going to give that person a license and that's all you asked?
yeah. Well, I've had
Um,
this same DPE, so I feel pretty good.
okay.
He's very fair. So, and also if I'm not ready, like if I get a disqual, I'll come back to him. And it's not
Uh,
it is a pass fail thing, but it's not necessarily means the end if you fail. So it's just I think I'm ready, but he'll let me know, and hopefully I am.
Yeah. And I mean, even if you are going commercially, because I know that's one of the big concerns a lot of students have, like,
Yeah.
oh, I can't get a single check ride failure, or else I'll never get a job.
Hmm.
Come on,
I didn't know that.
like it's not really a concern. Like,
Yeah.
it's not a concern for you,
Yeah.
right? But for other people,
I didn't know that was a thing because
one
most of my instructors have had failures actually. I've met more people that have failed a check ride than haven't. At least one of them.
exactly.
Yeah.
And the thing is it's not have you failed a check ride? It's have you failed the same one multiple
Yeah,
times?
I can see that. Yeah.
That's where the problems are. Like, if you failed your commercial check ride, okay, shit happens. You come back, or stuff happens. You come back in and you pass it.
Mhm.
But when you fail your commercial check ride 4 times, you're not learning or you're not teachable. That's what that's what the jobs are looking for.
Mhm.
Are you teachable through failure?
Yeah.
If you're not failing multiples of the same check ride shows that you are not teachable through failure. And that's where that's when you don't get a job.
No, I'm not looking for a job.
But
I'm just looking to go to the coast. So
yeah, no, that's fair. Believe
yeah,
me, if I didn't have to fly for work, I wouldn't.
yeah. Well, you're lucky, man. I mean, there's part of me that's like I'm 48. I'm like thinking about man, still maybe change careers, but it's like uh, my friends are flying for the
It's
airlines and they're like they send me pictures and I'm like, oh gosh, that must be so much fun.
uh, I work for an airline where I'm home every night, so I don't go
Mhm.
anywhere.
Yeah.
Like like I bid it's such boring trips. I bid to not fly as much as possible.
Oh well, you know,
But it pays the bills. It pays the bills. And I mean, don't get me wrong. My wife, she's off at a big major airline, and she goes on the cool trips. And when I have the time off, I go and just jump on a flight with her and go to her cool trips. But like, if I want to have fun, I hop in my seaplane and I go have fun.
oh yeah, there's a lot of different ways
So-
of flying, that's for sure.
But all right, man, I gotta
Okay.
get ready for the next one. I do like 4 of these a day when I have the chance. So
Awesome, dude,
good
yeah.
luck.
Thank you so much.
The Discord. If you got questions, don't hesitate to ask any questions in the Discord. But you enjoy the rest of your day, man.
Right on. You too. Talk to you later.
Bye.